Thanks for clicking on my video. Fix It Tony here, just working on the beater Yukon today. Some of you guys have already saw the video I have on this. We are running a test with Valvoline's new Restore and Protect oil. Almost 2,000 miles on her since we put it in. Right now, let's see, not really consuming oil. Oil looks good, nothing crazy. A little bit on the reddish color. We've already spoken about that, because that is the color of what was going on in the inside here. So can't really see a lot going on there, but we will be going in there with the scope when we do the next oil change, adding oil. If it gets any darker or murky looking, we're going to go ahead and change that oil filter out just to be safe. In the meantime, we have some other problems. I cannot for the life of me find a video that properly addresses one of the major problems with this platform. That's going to be the 2000 through 2007-ish. Some of the newer models with a different setup, but particularly these models, they won't pump gas. And it's really, really annoying. You go to the gas station, come back over here, put the gas nozzle in, and it won't vent. You sit here and you try to pump, and it only lets you let in a trickle at a time. Super duper annoying. Has been on a problem on this vehicle for way too long. I've replaced the canister, I've replaced the solenoid, I've brought the tank down before, still have the same problem. I'm pretty sure I know what the issue is now at this point. I did have the charcoal canister did lose a bunch of little charcoal pieces that ended up in the lines, and I'm pretty sure I just did not blow out those lines clear enough. So I'm going to take this tank down. I ran the fuel out of it, so there's only about a gallon or two in here. We're going to use my my wonderful Max jacks, which you can see here, and we're going to lift this truck up. You can do this under the vehicle. The last time I took the tank down, I replaced the fuel pump, and I was able to easily get the fuel tank out of here. But you don't need a lift to do it, but a lift does make this a lot easier. These lifts are only about $3,500 to $3,700. If you have the space, they're wonderful, and I'll show you why. I do have, you know, my RV here, and I'm able to get in and out. I have a 15 wide foot side yard here, and the beauty of it is I can unbolt this very easily. The anchors, there's 5 anchors here, and I can wheel this out of the way, and I can get my RV in and out very easily. So that's super, super convenient. And then you have a portable power station where it powers the hydraulic lines. So makes this lift very, very nice to have. Also, if I wanted to take it to my buddy's house, it doesn't take that long to drill in the anchors and put pretty much anchors anywhere you might want to use this. So if I wanted to take it at somebody else's house and wants to use it, or I need to use it at their house and something I want to do on a regular basis, I can unbolt this, put this in the back of the truck, bolt it down at their house, and use it at their house. As long as the concrete is a minimum of 4 inches thick and you got the spacing at least 3 feet away from each edge. So anyway, let's get to it. We're gonna get this bad boy on the lift and take a look at what we're gonna need to do here. All right, not totally necessary, but I do put a battery charger if I'm gonna leave this on the lift for any more in a couple hours. And it's because I like to put these in neutral so I can roll the vehicle back and forth. And one of the drawbacks to my spacing I have here, it's really difficult to get the door open. So you gotta get it in place, put it back in the park, you know, if you're using neutral to center it, and then, you know, vice versa when you get in and out of it. So I find it easier just to leave it in neutral, leave the key in, throw a battery charger on it. That way we don't end up with a dead battery. And now, as far as the power unit, I wired this all up when I did all my concrete in my backyard. So just 110 volts, that's all it uses. I have a little strap here. I use it to hold all my connections together. And you just pull these off here, and you run one to each side. So this side's going to be on the left side here. So I struggle here with one hand. And perfect. You do want to make sure that these connections stay clean when you insert them, because any grit, dirt you have on there can be injected into the line. So we'll grab this here. There's some residual here. It's not leaking, it's just we have a lot of dust from all the fires here, so it just leaves a mess. This collar has a lock on it, so it'll go up and down. It falls into a little hole right here that allows it to go up and down. If it's not going in, it's because that collar's not lined up with that little pivot area. Otherwise, you should be able to just push in like so, and it locks right in. That's how you know you did it correctly. So, other side, same thing. Grab our hose here. Probably see my sewage line here. Actually, I use my RV when I have family over or whatnot. They actually stay in my RV. You can hear probably the AC running on it right now. It's the beauty of getting multiple uses out of the RV is you can use this as a little apartment. I'm trying to get this line here. I don't know why it's so tangled up today. It's probably because I have one hand doing this. Okay. Alrighty. Sorry about that. I don't have a whole bunch of space over here. So I'm going to clean that off. Take this one off, clean this one off. And again, if it doesn't push in, it means that the collar's not lined up. So it should be okay just to push in, and boom, we're good. So now we're just going to position our landings. I do have frame holders, so we just pull these ones off, put a small riser with the frame holders on, make sure they're evenly spaced. I'm not going to go into how to properly do a lift, put a vehicle in a lift, but just make sure, if you want that video, I will do it for you guys. But the biggest thing is finding the center of gravity and making sure you're equal on both sides. That's really the key. So with nothing else to do here, I'm going to go ahead and position the landings and get this truck up. All right, so we have her up on the lift now. I like to do a quick safety check while I have her up here. As you can see, that front timing cover leak is there. Something I do have to address. I've not gotten to do it because it's not horrible. It's not an active leak. It's just enough to make everything sweat. But in any case, I run through a full safety on this. And if you notice, I use this lift does come with options for extenders. I do buy those in the frame, the frame coupler holders. It just makes life easier. You can see how those center up really nicely. When I'm messing around with something like a transmission or a tank and whatever, I do put stabilizers on it. These are available in Vevor. They're not very expensive, but when you're pushing and pulling and trying to get a tank down or messing with a transmission, it's best to err on the side of safety and just go ahead and invest in these. It helps you, have that peace of mind if anything does start to slip or fail. You'll at least get a second to get out of underneath the vehicle before something bad happens. And you can probably see we don't get the full lift with this. We get roughly, right now, we're probably about 4.5, 5 feet up. I use a roller creeper under here when I'm working. Standing or being a roller creeper, it really makes no difference to me. You can still do everything you're supposed to do, get this stuff, get what you need to get done. But what we're going to be aiming for here is going to be that fuel tank. We'll be taking that down, and everything associated with that fuel tank. We'll start here at the front. You probably see I actually had to put a shifter cable on this recently. Also take a look here. This is the ABS unit. These tend to go bad. They're very easy to fix. A lot of people rebuild these, bolt it back in. There's no brake fluid. It's literally just a little valve body that actuates the ABS. Fill filters right here. Very easy to get to. Makes it a lot easier when you have a lift. And then we have all our pieces. This is the canister right here. These are all the connections for the canister. We have our fuel tank here. Work our way back. And we have our inlets. We have the breather, and then we have the actual fuel tube there. And then right there, that's the vent solenoid. All this stuff has been replaced. It still will not pump fuel. So we're going to take that all apart and take a look at what's going on inside. More than likely, we have the clogged line in there, so we'll deal with that. Starting at the back here, just doing a quick safety. These are the auto leveling shocks. They are horribly expensive, and even though they're good, they tend to go flat over time. I am going to do some more work back here. While I'm back here, you can see when I had this thing towed when it was stolen, I don't know what they did. They smashed my my immersion brake cable here. I do have new ones. I'm going to put those in while I have it apart. We'll do a brake inspection. These brakes are relatively new. I'll just take a look around here, make sure there's no leaks on the coming from the axle housing. This is a Locker 373. It does have the tow package. Very sought after. It's a very nice option if you are looking for one of these. try to get one with the, I think it's called the G80 code, and that comes with the locker, the heavy duty trailer and package. Let's move our way forward. We look at our links, they're in good shape, no torn rubber. Generally the rear suspensions on these, the 5 links, are very, very durable. Generally don't have an issue with those. The fuel filter is relatively new. I just placed that long ago, so we don't have to worry about that. I did put a lift on the torsion bars. This doesn't use springs, it uses torsion bars that lift the front suspension, but because of those are going flat back there, this is a little higher in the front than it is the back. Got a little bit of Carolina squat, which is not something we want. So when we get this back in the ground, I'm actually going to adjust these nuts here, and that will allow us to lower the front suspension a little bit, get it more level. I already put new O2 sensors on here when we did the cats, because the wonderful people who stole this truck stole the cats off of it. We are going to rattle down here. I think it's coming from right in here with the old welder out. You can see that weld up there broke on the heat shield. We're just going to get up there, we'll tack weld that so we get that rattle to go away. Again, I got a new fuel filter on there. Transmission's been rebuilt. You know, again, these transmissions are cheap. They rebuild like $1,000, $1,200 right in there from a reputable place, and they'll last another 100, 150,000, but that's about it. And they go out pretty regularly. We take a look up here. Our boots look good. We'll grease those before we put that together. Brakes we just did, so we're good there. Shocks look good, no leaks. Just looking for leaks, and you know, you'll notice it with the ride. If you have a ride issue, it's usually that giveaway, but if you don't have a ride issue, but you do see bleeding coming down here, hydraulic fluid coming out, that it's time. You want to go and do that. This lower ball joint looks a little more worn than the other, so we might have to address that in the future if these start to tear, especially when it starts raining, water gets in there, rust it all out, it's all bad. The only other thing I really need to address, like you can see some of the oil, that's coming from the front cover, get on there and bleeding over here. Not a whole bunch, but enough where eventually that's going to have to be dealt with. The only thing I want to deal with while we have it on the lift too is you can see our sway bar links look like garbage. So, and we're getting a little bit of a movement on when we're going up and down. Basically, you got a little bounce in the front, and then these are not preventing the sway. So I'm going to go ahead and replace those links while we have it up. But otherwise, we look pretty good. For 170,000 miles, no rust issues. This is a California vehicle, which is a big plus. I'll tell you guys, in the Midwest, these rust like a mother, and usually when they start rusting, it's pretty much a done deal. It's time to get rid of it, or not a good buy if you want to go purchase one unless you have a frame available to you. So with that said, did our quick visual. We know what we need to address today. We're going to start working getting this tank down here. But first, I'm going to eat dinner. It'll probably be dark when I come back here. Have some lights here so we can see what we're doing. All right, we're back. Like I said, it's going to be dark. Going to get started here by removing a couple of items. We're going to go ahead and, you see the purge. We're just going to go ahead and disconnect that, and so it can dangle with the tank. And then we're going to remove the 2 hose clamps. And then we're going to put some stuff in those 2 lines there, some paper towels. Don't forget you put paper towels in there. Sorry, pardon my dogs are making noise in the background here. Anyway, going to get that done, and then we'll go to the front canister and we'll remove the lines up there, and then we can get ready to drop this tank. So these hose clamps, they're just 8 millimeters. You just loosen them up and then they'll come off pretty easily. You just want to pull them back out of the way so you don't lose these clamps. Pull this loose. As far as the vent up here, you just, let me see if I can get a good shot here so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see here. So here's our line right here. No way to get a real good shot on it, but basically you just squeeze the tabs on the side and it pulls out. So that line will come out of your release here. And then we'll work our way to the front. We'll get that done. You may ask why I'm working at night. I'm in Southern California. We've literally had the summer from hell, and it has been ridiculously hot for a long time. So anyway, we'll get to the front here. All right, so we're at the front. We have this line, again, you just squeeze it. The upper line's fine, it's the lower one down there you have to pull out, again, squeeze it, and that pulls out. So we just have those 2 lines. As you might be asking maybe, why am I working right now at night? Well, I live up in the high desert in Southern California, and it's been crazy hot, like all summer. I mean, even today, it's October, and it is literally 105 degrees today. So anyway, I have to wait till it cools down because I'm about to not sweat to death. So anyway, next thing we're gonna do is we have 13 millimeters, either 13 or 15, I forgot. There's one there and one right up here. And then once you loosen those, this tank will kind of flop, and then I'll get some help out here. We're gonna push it because it sits kind of in this tab up here. It'll fall out from there, and I'll have to get some assistance. So I might not have video of when I do that. So we'll get that done. All right, so a lot of these tools you see aren't necessary, but I have them, which is nice. I do have this lift cart, also available on Evap, not terribly expensive, but again, makes this a lot easier. The straps, again, actually I showed you wrong. The hook is on the right side, which is right up here, and then the bolt's on the left side, and they just come off, and then you just turn them and they drop out. So there's two of them. In any case, now that we're here, you can see I disconnected the power supply, and then we gotta disconnect the fuel lines. There's two lines. One's a vapor line. Actually, let's try this shot again where I have some light here. All right, so now I have light. So we gotta remove this line and this line. One's a vapor, one's a fuel pressure line. Fuel pressure should be done because, you know, we're not on. But just to be safe, I'm going to make sure the key's out of the ignition before we mess around, even though our power has been disconnected. So anyway, just got to get these two lines off. We're going to use a removal tool that slides in and pops these out pretty easily, and then we'll be able to drop the tank out. All right, so let's talk about what we did here. All right, so as you saw, we removed the hose clamps and took the filler tube and the vent line off. We took this line off for the vent solenoid, which runs back to the canister. We have the two fuel lines up there. Those ones are also squeeze and push. They are a pain in the butt, especially when you're under the vehicle. With the lift, it's a little bit easier, but still difficult. I do use my cart. This is available at Evap. It's able to lift all the way up, so I can maneuver. Still makes a mess no matter what you do. So be prepared for some fuel to fall. Make sure there's no sparks around. Still stinks like gas over here. So the straps here, the bolts are on the left side. You see one there, and there's one right up there. And then you just turn them. Once you take the bolt loose, you can turn this sideways and it comes out. I'll kind of show you here so you get an idea. So these, you turn them in sideways, and then they turn and they hook. And to remove them, you do the exact opposite. So you can get those out of the way. So we have two of those. Sorry, just make sure I keep our bolts together there. We have our power lines. This is a little bit different because I did have an OE pump on here. I put a Bosch on this time around because the OE pump only lasted like 2 years. I was really kind of disappointed by that. So anyway, the Bosch requires you to play with the power lines a little bit. Here's our canister. Here's the line to our purge. I left this off on purpose because we're gonna blow this line out. Make sure there's nothing in there. There's our line that runs to our engine, and our other line that goes in here, that runs back to our tank here. So we have our gas tank here, and sorry, it's around here somewhere. Oh, we're on the back side of the tank. No wonder I can't figure it out. All right, sorry guys. Easier from this angle to cover this. So this is the actual vent from the tank. So this right here goes all the way along the line here and has a tube that intersects with this one. So you have a vent tube here at the front of the tank. Sorry, that would be the back of the tank, the one at the front of the tank. And then it goes to here. So if it's not venting correctly, something's going on here. The flow is not coming out of here. Sometimes it's because charcoal stuff got stuck in there or whatnot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these lines loose. We're gonna put some air to them and blow them out. We're gonna do the same thing to those lines. And then we're gonna add some pressure to here to see if this thing's actually venting through this. If it's not, we're gonna dissect this a little bit more. Because last time I did this, I thought I got it all, but this stupid thing would not vent still. So in any case, we're gonna move on to the next step here. We're gonna move those lines, and we're gonna go ahead and pump some air through them. So I'm by myself, so it's hard to show you guys, but I went ahead and blew air out both sides through this line. Absolutely nothing came out. So it was flowing good, which means that this is not our problem here. Again, you just squeeze this line to get it off. So I'm going to push this thing back in here and move on to the next idea we have here. And put that one back on. Same thing, blew this one out. Got nothing except gas fumes. Anyway, I use a kite out here in gasoline fumes. So now we're gonna blow out the other big line coming out of the canister. So I pushed that line out and we got a little bit of crud came out, but nothing serious, nothing on the floor. So nothing that should have been that big of a deal. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove this other line here. It goes to the engine and blow that one out, because that one's the one that provides suction to the system. So maybe we have a clog there. So we'll just keep on working on the line here, see what we can get. Okay, so we removed the engine covers. This is an 8mm here. This is the purge. This valve's been replaced too, but so our line runs back over there, back to the tank. So we're going to go ahead and remove this line. It's a simple, it just pulls out like this, and then we can pull the line out. Anyway, so we're going to pull that out, and you just, again, push it until it locks there. You can see how it locks open. So anyway, get some air. We're going to blow it to there and see if we get anything on this side. Take a look at that purge. I don't think there's anything in there, but we'll pull that off too and take a look inside and make sure nothing's going on in there either. So blew that out, nothing. So the last thing it can be is this canister. What might have happened is stuff might have got jammed in there by not clearing it out all the way. So we're gonna take the canister down, just a couple of bolts, get that bad boy off. Should think just that one down there. This will pull out, one up there, and we'll take a look at that. All right, so bingo, we found our problem. So this line right here runs to the tank. This one runs to the engine, and this one runs to the back to the release valve when you're pumping gas. When I blew through here, some crud came out of here. Some of the stuff's right here, kind of went everywhere because I blew it at high pressure. See a little bit on the floor there. So now it blows out nice and easily. So this thing still had some stuff built up in there from when I originally replaced this that just hadn't got out. So moral of the story is, take the extra time, blow these lines out, blow all this stuff out. Well, the canister you don't have to blow out, but I mean these lines, take them loose, blow everything clear. And really honestly, what caused all this problem was state of California decided that they wanted to change the emission requirements for vapor and for the new pumps that they put here in California. And it just royally messed up these trucks, because the system before never had a problem. This one always has a problem. So as people who own these, so drop the tank out, clear the lines, replace the canister. If it's got charcoal coming out of here, it's because this thing's come apart on the inside here. It's pretty easy fix once you do that. Just spend the extra time to blow stuff out. I didn't do that. Now I paid the price and I had to come in here a second time and deal with this. So don't make my mistake. Spend the extra time, get it cleared out. You don't have to deal with this again. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise this tank up and start putting it back in and take care of that. Part of my dogs are in the background. It's just the reverse. We're gonna put this, this is the back side, so we'll flip it back around. We're gonna put that side up in first. We're gonna reattach our fuel lines. They plumb in through here. We have to make sure we push them into the little locks here, and then they'll go in here. We'll connect our electrical, and then we can put the tank back up, and then we'll reconnect all our connections, and we'll be good to go here, and this nightmare will hopefully be over. All right, fast forward a couple of days. I actually did not put the fuel tank back in, because when I was putting it back in, I noticed that the pressure sensor was loose, just to find it was actually broken. So anyway, ordered a new fuel pump. Wasn't planning on that. This one's from AutoZone. See the description. They have a lifetime warranty on their pumps. That's why I buy from them. Not necessarily because they're better, but because when they go out, which they usually do, we can just go ahead and replace the pump in one shot. So it's very easy to deal with. All we're gonna do is push the tabs in, give it a twist, and it comes right out. I found the best way to get these out is to push in the tab right there. You see the little tab, and then either a pry bar, or this is actually a serpentine removal tool. I get it in between those two bolts and give it a twist, and she comes right out. So we'll go ahead and pull this fuel pump out and get the new one in. All right, so you just push her back down in and turn it. You do want to install the, it comes separately, the float. As you can see, this float, for some reason, it never read right. And I think, maybe it's just a Bosch thing, but hopefully this one will read correctly, because there's still about 3 or 4 gallons, and I thought this thing would be completely out, because I literally drove it for an extra 100 miles after it was already said it was empty. So there's our broken piece right there. You do have to put a wiring harness. It's different from the factory. You have to splice it. Fortunately, it uses the same wiring harness that came off of that are already replaced for the Bosch unit, so I don't have to do that twice. And then we can just toss this unit in the trash. and go ahead and get started putting this thing back together. All right, so some quick tips here. When putting this fuel tank back in, it's been a while, so I had to remember what I did in the first place. You do have to take the canister off, because otherwise you're not gonna have enough room to clear this thing. So what you're gonna do is lift it with a cart or with help or whatever it might be, and you're just going to lift it kind of level and then push it as far back as you can get it without putting the where your fuel hose above the axle yet. And then you're going to just kind of angle it this way and push the front end into that little channel right there at an angle, because what's going to happen is if you don't remove that, you're going to run into a problem with this little bracket right here. You're not going to be able to clear the tank. So you're going to push this in, slide it, and then you're going to put it up enough to reconnect your fuel lines and make sure your other lines are ran and are above the rail. And then your canister one needs to go above the canister line for the purge in the back is going to go above that bracket. You're gonna run all that, and then you're gonna jack it up the rest of the way, because once you push that in, you're gonna have the clearance back here, and you can put it up. You can put your straps back on, strap it back up, put your canister back on, put the lines back in, and you're good to go with that. And of course, hook your fill lines up in the back here, tighten down those harnesses, and you're good to go. And then just give it a once over, and you're good with this part of the setup here. So we're gonna go ahead and start it up and give her a check to make sure everything's working okay. So we're still up on the lift, so we're going to use a ladder to get up here. It's safe to do this, of course. The vehicle's still in neutral. We're going to have to charge the fuel up a couple of times because obviously no fuel's been in the line. So we'll hear the pump kick on. Turn it back off. Pump back on. Give her a try. Oh, put it back in park. Let's try that first. Turn all the way back off, turn back on. Another try. Let's try again. And we're up, we're running. She's gonna jump a little bit because fuel's trying to get in there. It's the normal piston slap from the LS engine. You hear there. Over here, nothing leaking. Everything looks good. All right, we're about done here. All right, we went in and cleared our temporary jacks, and we're good to go. We're gonna go ahead and lift her a little bit. On these, you gotta lift it. And flip your locks. One lock here. And we have another lock. Hi, buddy. Sorry, my nephew. Hi. Hey, buddy. You gotta stand clear, okay? Bye. Okay. So now we're gonna drop her down. Bye, buddy. Alrighty, we'll finish dropping her down. And we had the battery charger just to make sure we weren't going to have an issue starting her up after all the work was done. We just kind of listen for that sound to stop, and that's the release of the fluid. Almost done, and we're good to go. All right, so the moment of truth, the gas gauge is reading better, so it actually shows empty. The other one with the Bosch was showing just over empty, and obviously now we're getting the proper reading here. So in any case, let's go ahead and pump some fuel and see if we fixed our problem here. So one thing I also want to note that I didn't mention before is I did open up these, I saw somewhere, if you open up these little holes, you can see them right there, the vent holes, they're kind of closed in there, and some people say over time putting the pump in there will close these vent tubes off, and that also can indeed cause a problem. The other thing I wanted to mention is that it does take two people to get that tank back into the bottom here. If you try doing it with one, it's just very difficult, and it kind of creates a little bit of a problem because you got to weigh it forward, weigh it back, and if you're hooking up the lines and that tank slips, it's going to rip the, if you hook your wires up, it's going to rip your wires out. So just make sure you have a second person with you. It's way easier, less chance of having a problem here. So we're gonna go ahead and pump some fuel, regular gas station. This is California, so we got this stupid thing right here. And you see my expensive $4 gas. Let's take a look here, see what we got. So before, it would instantly stop. And so far, it's a miracle. Before, I couldn't even get a gallon of fuel in there without this thing stopping every 2 seconds. And as you can see, she's pumping. So one of two things happened here. And since this is the easier thing to do, try to open those tabs up first. See if that does it. If it doesn't, then take your tank down, clear all the lines out like I did, make sure everything is, you know, routed correctly and everything's hooked up. And yeah, we have a fix here. This is awesome, guys. I'm so excited. You don't even understand how frustrating it is to have this thing stop and go all day long. So with that said, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and share, and have a great day. Until the next project I have, we have a lot more stuff coming in the future. A lot more improvements coming on with the beater Yukon coming in the future here. So definitely, if you guys want to see something, or you have one of these trucks and you're curious about something that maybe I've already repaired, please put it down in the comment sections. Have a great day.